Hey everybody, James Holst here to talk about iFishpro. For anybody that's tuned in to the In-Depth Outdoors TV show, you know that one of my favorite ways to employ a second line out there on the ice is using the iFishpro. It works a lot like a tip-up, but the reason I prefer that iFishpro is once that flag goes up, I'm fighting that fish using a rod and reel. So what I want to talk about today is just a couple of small improvements that have been made to the iFishpro to make it an even better product. The first one is iFishpro has come out with a taller flag. That's important for anybody that uses that unit in deep snow. The older flag was a little bit shorter. This should get that flag up and over the top of snowbanks that build up when you're fishing lakes that have a lot of snow cover. And now the second change, and again, they're small changes, but I think these are going to add a lot of enjoyment to guys that use the iFishpro. They've redesigned the trigger. The old trigger had a little loop that you use to grasp the line, and that slid up and down the line below the bobber stop. It worked great to trigger the mechanism anytime you had a bite, but what happened is if you had a large fish that fought hard near the hole, every once in a while that clip would fall off and you'd lose it. Well, iFishpro has come out with a brand new trigger. This trigger is designed to be rigged in much the same way that a slip bobber is rigged on your line. We still have the bobber stop here that's used to set the depth of our bait. And instead of being looped on the line like the old trigger, it actually slides up and down the line in much the same way a slip bobber would work. So when you get a bite, that flag flies, you come over and set the hook. It does not matter how hard that fish thrashes its head from side to side, that clip will not come off. Now, I want to make sure that everybody watching this video knows just absolutely how easy it is to set up one of these iFishpros. So I'm going to turn this around. It'll put it in a more natural setup position for me, and we're just going to simulate the edge of this stand as kind of dropping that line down into the water. What we have here at the top is a bobber stop that determines the depth that the baits are going to be fished in the water column, and you're going to set that the exact same way you're going to set a slip bobber. You're going to use a depth bomb, you're going to drop that down in the water and adjust that slip knot so it holds your bait the appropriate depth above the bottom. If I'm fishing a dead bait, say a big shiner minnow for walleye, I'm going to set that bobber stop so it holds that bait about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet above the bottom. And below that bobber stop, that's where that sliding trigger lives. And you're going to typically have some type of weight down near the bait that pins that bait down near the bottom. So your trigger will always live between that bobber stop at the top and the weight at the bottom. What's great about this is you can fish this in 80 feet of water for lake trout, and that bobber stop will slide up and down the line as you reel up. You can fish it in 3 feet of water for shallow water walleye. It's very versatile. So now I'm going to show you how to actually set up the trigger mechanism in the iFishpro, and it's really very easy. First thing I want to do is I'm going to let out a little extra line. I'm going to keep my hand on the clip so it doesn't go down in the water, and then I take the flag, bend it forward. It's spring loaded, so there is a little bit of tension there. That center peg holds the flag in place. The trigger sits on the nose of that peg, and if there's any type of pull, a bite if you will, by any fish, this is what happens. A little tug, flag pops up, and the best part is there's the clip on the line. That small little improvement makes sure that that clip will never fall off. Angler runs over, closes the bail, picks up the rod, and drives the hook home. As anybody knows that has watched the In-Depth Outdoor shows in the winter, we've been very successful using these iFishpros to fish that second line, whether it be for pike or lake trout or walleye or even larger panfish. So if you're interested in giving these iFishpros a try, make sure you pick some up before the ice fishing season hits.